boys coming up, but first of all we're going to hear from a man who never shies away from a challenge. Carl Froch won his super middleweight world title in spectacular fashion here on ITV last December. He then travelled to America to take on former undisputed middleweight king Jermaine Taylor in his first defence. Never one to take on an easy fight, he's now signed up to the Super 6 series of bouts, along with 5 of the greatest super middleweights in the world, to find out who is the best of the best. First up, Froch is lined up to face American Andre Dirrell in Nottingham this autumn. Then he'll take a daunting trip to Denmark to face Mikkel Kessler, and then the ferocious German Arthur Abraham will come to Nottingham for a possible open-air clash next summer. So let's hear from Carl on the size of the challenge he faces.
I think it's fantastic. It's great for boxing, and it's a fantastic opportunity for all 6 of the fighters. Myself, Jermaine Taylor, you've probably gone through the list, Arthur Abraham, Mikkel Kessler, and there's 2 young up-and-coming Americans.
Andre Dirrell?
Ward and Dirrell, yeah, both Andre. Olympians, gold medalist and bronze medalist respectively. It's going to be a tough tournament, it really is. Every single fight is going to be a world-class, elite level fight, and it's very exciting.
What made you put your belt on the line to get involved in this? Because right now you are the man. If you win this, you will be the undisputed man, but you didn't have to take this risk.
No, not at all. The thought of being in the competition is a daunting thought, fighting the top 5 competitors in the world in my division, but the thought of not being in it, I feel like I've missed out, because as you know, I want to take on the best in the world. I wanted to fight JC, he's retired, that's fair enough. I went to took on Jermaine Taylor in America to prove that, you know, I mean business in this sport, and I'll take on all comers. And Andre Dirrell and Andre Ward are the next 2 in line for the WBC. So I don't want to miss out on the opportunity of proving that I can defend against all my mandatories. And then Mikkel Kessler, who's potentially my second fight, so I'm not going to miss out on something as exciting as this.
How would you feel about going to fight Kessler in Denmark? And then, of course, it looks like Abraham last. It's a tough ask to go to Denmark and win it. It's a bit like the Taylor fight. You're going to have to go there and win convincingly, if not by stoppage, to get the decision.
I don't think Denmark's like Germany if you want to get political, but you know, I think it's going to be fair. It's going to be fair judging. I don't think there'll only be problems there, especially in Denmark. If anywhere, obviously Germany's got a bad history. But if I have to go to Germany, I will go to Germany, the same way I went to America. But ideally, I mean, we'll fight in our backyard every single time. But whatever makes more sense financially and for the fans, we'll do it. It might be that we'll go in the stadium that's got a lid on it that closes in the second fight against Kessler. But what a massive fight that is. Myself, Mikkel Kessler in a unification match for the WBC and WBA. It doesn't get much bigger than that, and just talking about it, I get excited myself, and the hairs on the back of my head stand up, they really do.
And hopefully, if it is in Denmark, we're talking about European times, so for British fans, we can see it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've touched on something there. British fans need to make their voice heard. If they want to get this shown, I mean, they need to get in emails and letters and put pressure on these TV networks, because at the minute, nobody's done anything. My promoter's talking to all of them, and we're very close to doing something potentially with ITV box office. Now, that sounds really, really exciting for me and really prosperous, so we need to try and pursue that avenue and get it out there for the British fight fans, because they're going to be robbed of a fantastic matchup between 6 world-class fighters. I mean, Andre Dirrell, mandatory, then Mikkel Kessler, then Arthur Abraham, and then a semi-final and a final against 2 other top world competitors.
Who's the most dangerous man in there, aside from yourself?
I'm thinking Mikkel Kessler, but I mean, you've got 2 young guns coming through. You've got Andre Ward and Andre Dirrell, and they're both unbeaten Olympians, so you know, anything can happen. It's one of them kind of tournaments with the young guns coming through and the old wise. I don't even know if I'm the oldest one in there, I feel old, but old and experienced wisdom goes a long way. I mean, it might be a little bit too early for the young Americans, but they've shown that they're good, they've shown they mean business, and you know, Olympic golds and Olympic bronze medalists don't come easy.
It shows the depth of this competition that you're saying the danger men are Kessler and the 2 Andres. Jermaine Taylor, it took you till 12 rounds to finish him, and Arthur Abraham never lost and looked sensational in pretty much every fight he's had up until the last 6 months. It just shows the depth of this competition, and fair play for you for taking on the challenge. Yeah,
that's a fair point. I mean, I'm not by no means underrating Jermaine Taylor. Look at what he did. He gave me a 12-round battle. I mean, I had to take him out in the dying seconds. I think if I had a rematch with him, I'd put it on him earlier and I'd get him finished earlier. I'm not sure what he's got left in the tank now. That's the only reason I've not threw him up there with the best. And I think Arthur Abraham is coming up from middleweight. He's an unbeaten, strong powerhouse who's so determined and so proud. It's going to be difficult to shift him out of there. It really is.
Fancy undisputed champion come the end of 2010?
It sounds outrageous, it sounds good, and I tell you what, I'm going to be going for it. I'm going to start training early, and I'm going to give it everything I've got. I'm sure the other fighters are. It's exciting time for the super middleweight division and for boxing as a whole. It really is.
Absolutely. Carl, very best of luck. Really hope it goes well.
Appreciate that. Cheers.
Well, Carl's certainly in a typically bullish mood. We'll hear the views of Duke and John in just a moment. But what do we all make of a boxing series? That's our talking point this week.
I think it is the best thing that has happened to boxing in years. I can't believe that all the organisations have agreed to this in the first place, with all of their sort of idiosyncrasies and their sensitivities about their titles, etc. However, I'm absolutely thrilled that they have.
I think that's great, you know, it just shows you the best fight the best, and that's how it should be in this game. The best should fight the best.
I think it's absolutely fantastic, and whoever's put it together has done a fantastic job. Carl Froch is coming, you know, I've watched him for years. He's doing a terrific job, and I think this is going to bring the best out of it. It's great television.
Well, I think it's going to be one of those tournaments that's going to be remembered forever, and 6 of the best fighters in the world, it's going to be one to watch, isn't it?
Like, we've got the WBA, WBC, IBF and WBO. We have junior titles, we have interim titles, we have champion emeritus, we have super champions. It's all very confusing. This is a great way of finally telling us who is the best in each weight division. I sincerely hope that they'll move through all the divisions like that, because that would be fantastic for boxing. Would take away the clutter and would give the general public and people who are not just boxing fans but outside of boxing an interest in the game again.
I suppose at the end of the day the best will come out on top, and it's a tournament which you can prove you're the best, and that's what boxing's about, being number one, being a winner, and this tournament will allow for that.
People are going to pay their money to watch it, because the point is they're going to eliminate one another. I think it's fantastic. Any knockout competition, there's nowhere to hide, and the best comes to the top. I think Carl Froch will do it, but I tell you what, the talent in that, the Super 6, is terrific.
I think Carl has every chance of winning this, no doubt about it.
I think he's got as good a chance as the rest of them. He's tough, he can punch, he's very good, Carl, as everyone knows, and he's already beat Taylor, so he's got to be one of the favourites, if not the favourite for Carl.
He's a good fighter, but Kessler's going to be tough. Kessler is going to be tough. Arthur Abraham is no pushover either, so you know, I'm not going to pick a winner, but it's going to be an interesting tournament, to put it that way.
So what we have effectively a Champions League for the super middleweights, ending up with a single champion in 18 months' time. Well, that is the theory, John. What are the pitfalls?
Well, the pitfalls if somebody gets hurt. You know, if you suffer a bad defeat or get bad cuts, are you going to be able to fulfil dates? Boxing as a sport, you know, you have promotional fallouts. You can have people changing the whole idea about whether or not they want to take part in this. In principle, I think the whole thing's fantastic, and the money hopefully will keep it all together. But you know, a lot can potentially go wrong.
It's obviously that Carl Froch and all the other big 6 really fancy the concept and really love being involved.
It's a massive opportunity for Carl Froch to really showcase what he's all about. He's always said he wanted the big names in boxing, and here you got it. You've got some of the biggest names in world sport. It's going to be fantastic.
Now, how do you think he's going to go in it? Because I noticed that bookmakers in Britain have made him the favourite, but in America they're not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, you've got guys like Arthur Abrahams, who's just as hard as nails. You've got Mikhail Kessler, again, equally just hard as nails. You saw him against Joe Kawasaki. You know, some of the biggest names in this weight division are all going to be squaring off. It's just a fantastic concept.
Do you go along with Carl Froch, with the bookies in this country, or can you see where they're coming from over the pond?
I think he's got a very, very hard job on his hands to actually win this thing. All the best fighters in the division at the moment are out there, and he's got 3 really hard ones in Durrell and then Kessler and then Abraham, and he's got to come through that to get to the semi-finals and then potentially through to the final. He's got a really tough time of it, and I just tend to think that the guy who might turn out to be the one to beat could be the middleweight Abraham coming up into the super middleweight division, because I'd go along with what Duke says. He really is a very hard man, and I think the extra pounds will help him.
Just finally, from Carl Froch's point of view, it's great that he's got his place in the sunshine now a little bit. He deserves to make big money. He deserves the recognition as well.
Undoubtedly, you know, would it be nice to see him get a softer homecoming, you know, than his first opponent? But because they all bring so much to this fight. And fights like this are potentially career-ending fights, I promise you. The harder the fight, they take a lot more out of you. Let's just suppose he gets through the first one. Then he's got Kessler as the second one, possibly Abrahams as the third one. You couldn't get 3 more harder fights, but fall credit to Froch for taking this. Obviously, the money's fantastic, and the opportunity itself is just, it's mind-blowing.